JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, October 9th, 323 on this fine afternoon talk. Really quick about the marks. Some names I'm looking to go from there. SERV just hit new highs today. Talk really quick about the markets. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P markets in the red here today, alternating from Tuesday's sell-off, Wednesday's rally, recoup those losses, and then we're back in sell mode here today. No news, no catalyst. It was kind of like a slow melt to lows by about 10:30, and then we've been chopping around ever since, right around 669 to 670.50. So like another dollar trading range on the SPY like we had kind of yesterday. Once the market found its levels, right? Yesterday was the rally. It's just been chopping around. So nothing crazy. I mean, the VIX, which you would think with today's pull would be up, soaring, it's only up 1%. Yields in the dollar are higher. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin are taking on the chin. Gold, I mean, it's up so much. I mean, just even looking at its year-to-date gains, you have to think, like a two. Sounds like not much in regards to gold, seeing it 2%, but I mean, in the scheme of how gold typically trades, not the most volatile. No, it doesn't have a lot of large swings like that, so it's a pretty big move. But anyway, not going to talk about gold here today. But first thing I'll talk about obviously is SERV Robotics, right? So I have the quick slide here. Was it K Mitch this morning? Asked me about it. But I don't want to go too much on the rant on SERV Robotics. I mean, if you've been listening to my rants over the last 6 months, you've heard my bullish spin on SERV Robotics for $8, $9, $10. Was talking about 13.75. Then once that broke, I thought $18. Just such a great story. And if you had a couple months ago had told me what would be the best news that could happen for SERV Robotics, it would be some kind of deal like this with DoorDash. I mean, just monster news. The only thing that would probably eclipse that would be some kind of a buyout, right? So you saw it here this morning. It was funny when the news came out. It was the Bloomberg report. It was at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the stock didn't move. I'm like, is this? Do they have the right company? And then finally hit the wires. Then you had SERV Robotics Investor Relations actually come out with it, and the stock just went bonkers. And to me, it's like one of those names. Like people look at it, and those who haven't heard about it or haven't read about it, like look at the numbers and like is it accurate, right? So, I mean, the company's on track to do like 1.4, $1.5 million this year. I don't even know what it is at the exact moment, its current market cap, but it's got like 60 million shares outstanding. So I would assume what is a six time. So we're getting close to what a $1 billion market somewhere in it, maybe $950 million market cap. So you would say, wow, that's, it's kind of still pre-revenue. So when you look at it in that kind of context, it's like, okay, maybe it's overvalued or whatever, but it's the growth, right? So they're forecasting 60 to $80 million in revenue just for next year. So, I mean, you start doing the percentage gains, it's 1,500 to 1,800% top line revenue growth just next year. And that was pre this DoorDash news, right? So, I mean, who knows what those numbers look like? That's the one side. Who knows? I mean, maybe that doesn't happen. We don't know. There's a lot of possible speed bumps in regards to that. I mean, you don't just scale from 1 million in revenues to 80 million in revenues without possible obstacles in the way, right? And they're doing their rollout of the robots. So, they just announced this week 1,000. By the end of the year, it's gonna be 2,000. And then who knows what what that all plays out. So just, I mean, to me, it's just if you're speculating on a name, I mean, of course, I'm optimistic, but you can speculate that it could have substantially more revenues next year. And then I was doing the numbers this morning, and it's all like fuzzy math, right? It's easy just to throw out some numbers, but you look at its market cap and you say, okay, I mean, if it's $25 stock, it's a $1.5 billion company, right? So it's only $8 from where it is, or $7.30 where it's trading right now. And if you do a $50 stock, it's $3 billion market cap. And you start doing some other names that you look at, like for a $3 billion company in a sector like that, where you look at, I was saying this morning, DoorDash is a $120 billion company. That all they are is pretty much the middle party, right, of the transaction, right? It's they don't make the food, they don't make the products, the services, whatever. They just provide the means for the product to get to the consumer, right? I mean, just crazy to think about where SERV Robotics is like the middle party of like that's the important part of it. Completes the service for it. So I mean, there's a lot of things I look at, again, I don't want to go on too long a rant, but like think of I did this rant too, like maybe a month or two ago. If you go to a metro area, just the changes that has happened over the last, gosh, I mean, even just the last 2 or 3 years, I was talking, I don't know if it was like 2 months ago, like who would have thought that you have Amazon lockers in apartment complexes right at the start of it, right? Who would have thought like all these different things that have changed. Now, if you go like to New York City, you see all these couriers on bicycles waiting. They wait in the parks with their phones, waiting to get the orders so they can go and do these orders. And these are all deliveries that are they're short mile, the last mile deliveries. So like this is happening everywhere across all these metro areas. So just that addressable, just for the food delivery. And then you start looking at all the 7-Elevens, the actual grocery, the products. So I hate to say limitless, but then then you start flipping it around too, and you're like, they're going to monetize these little robots for advertising too. What does that look like when you have thousands of little bots running around a metro area? Just, I mean, it's so I try not to get overexcited because then you can you know get aggressive and then something happens, whether it's some regulatory situation or there's a huge short interest, so someone might they might pull shenanigans out. They might figure out what they've doing with AppLovin and the Roblox and the Carvanas. So I hate to get overly excited about a name, but like this is like what I look at, and that's why when you see me getting January 25 calls or January 30 strikes when the stock is at $12, that's how you can kind of wrap your head around. Hey, I mean, and so anyway, so as the stock rallies today, people start looking at the numbers, and like you might get like a crazy gap tomorrow because people look at it and say, wait a second, how did I miss this? And so rants for other days. Love the story. I mean, I'm loaded to the gills when I say loaded to the gills, I have lots of strikes. I got the November 25s, the January 20s, the January 30s. So, and then I added the Marches today. So, and at some point I'll lock some March 40s before the end of the day just to cover some of the costs. I think they're close to 100% now. So I mean, it just, uh, so, all right, rants for other days. So that's Serve Robotics. Um, you have to think they might do an offering, right? I mean, any smart company, early stage, needs capital. Uh, so you got to think that's coming, right? I don't know, so that's always something you got to be worried about. Like if you're trying to do weekly strikes and you want to play, October 17th calls, there might be an offering between now and then, so there might be a bump. So you got to be aware of those things. All right, so that's Serve Robotics. Enough rant there. And now on to Reddit, right? So I traded Reddit Lottos at the start of the week, locked some in to cover costs, held on to them, and then Reddit's done nothing, right? And I made this chart here, the last 7 sessions, and I think this is a 10-minute chart. You start looking, I mean, gosh, let's see here. So I mean, 211 or so seems like the big spot here, and of course we're stuck right here at 211. I guess there was an Ask Me Anything on Reddit today. I guess OpenAI is doing hosting a Reddit development conference today. I don't know. I just hit the Thinkorswim news feed earlier today. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. But hey, hopefully it's a positive catalyst. But anyway, you look at the chart, and I think if the market finds any footing tomorrow, I think also it just needs a little spark. It's be off to the races. So. Got some once it looked like it was ready to break. I don't even know what the stock was trading at when I got the 220s, but those look interesting on a risk reward basis. And you trade Reddit long enough over the last 6 months, when you're $10 or $12 out of the money with a day left on Reddit, the calls are typically expensive. And for me, looking at the 220s, they looked not expensive. So I went and got those. It locks them in to cover costs for 100%. And what are they right now? They're hovering around 95 cents. So I'll hold those into tomorrow. I don't think it will take much for Reddit. So that's my Serve rant, my Reddit rant. Duolingo, frustrating. I wouldn't say frustrating really because it's been a sensitive name when the markets are under pressure. Duolingo typically is down 3, 4, 5% just because, but it was actually holding ground today. And it was at 340 at about 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh, it's hanging in there, 342. And then sure enough, quick $8 pull to 336. But that 336, I was mentioning yesterday, once it broke, it was up to 350. And today seems like that it's providing good support. So I'll continue to hold my strikes into next week. I talked about 355. It gets over that, I'll look for some lottos. Maybe that's tomorrow. Let's do Lingo. And then, Dell doing what it has done, frustrating outside of yesterday, obviously, but couldn't find footing after the open, melted all the way down here to 156, been chopping around here ever since. Still have those calls into next week. I'll just continue to hold those, and then maybe I'll look for some opportunities to play for upside. It's funny that Barron's article this morning, and all these analysts, also Argus today, raised their price target to 200 from 150. To me, it's like we'll see how things kind of like shake out. It's had a strong rally over the last 2 weeks, and then maybe it'll be go time to get a little aggressive on the call side to play for that for a move to 180 plus. All-time highs on Dell 175 from May of last year, so that'll be. I think it'll almost be like a magnet. I think maybe a couple weeks will get there. Other frustrating names here today, you know, XYZ all the way down to 80 bucks at 2 o'clock. That's starting to bounce. Almost looks like it's going to go red to green. Still holding those, well, pretty much freebies for next week. Hopefully that finds some fire. HPQ disappoint. You know what's funny? HPQ was rallying at the open. I almost closed some of my spec calls into next week, and then I'm like, let me give it a chance. And then sure enough, breaks under 27 bucks. Still like this one into next week. Looks like SERV's going to hit that $18 target. Funny, I do my chart on SERV Robotics, right? And don't call me, um, this. I'm not a chart. I don't. What do they call it? A technician, right? I'm not saying. I'm not patting myself on the back and say, "Wow, you're a great chart technician." But take a look at my support resistant line on SERV Robotics. I've had that line in there for almost maybe a month now, 2 months. And what do we do today? Comes right up to it. Looks like we're going to break right through it right now. So funny how that works. To me, I always talk about when trading options, right? There's so many things that go against you. Obviously, the time element, but you have to have all these tools that you're in your arsenal to try and fight it, right? Fight everything that's working against you. So the charts is always one of them. I always look at the moving averages, relative strength index, the Bollinger Bands. So all those things, and then support resistance. So I drew my first annotation in a while on the SPY, the resistance. I think I put 658, right? So what I look for is times the stock is either hit and fell or hit and bounced, right? And 5 or 6 instances, and then typically I'll draw a line in. So that's kind of rationale there. Anyway, let's have a great day, folks. Great to see SERV. Hopefully some news tomorrow. Maybe Reddit gets some crazy upgrade or some will have another great end to the week. And that's that. Rock and roll.